Hi, Hal. How you doing? Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. It's I'm going to say Merry Christmas for a long time. But anyway, a friend of mine and I were discussing ways to move the football besides, mashing people. And make no mistake, mashing people is the way to go. Uh, but you got to have, you got to have some alternatives to just beating people up. So I talked to him about the quick screen that we used at Elon. I learned it from Rich Skrosky, who's the offensive coordinator at FIU. He was the offensive coordinator at Elon, and of course Pete Lembo. And then we took it to Ball State and ran it, and then took it to Penn State, and I managed to get it in. And uh, we did it a little bit different at Penn State than we did at Ball State. At Ball State, we always ran it into the boundary at a 2x2, and in Penn State, we generally ran it. I can't remember running it into the boundary. We generally ran it to the field 3x1, and we were 3x1 team. So it was good. It was good stuff. You can run it with any personnel grouping as long as you got a guy that's willing to block and somebody to catch the ball and make something happen. Uh, I really like the play, and I just want to talk to you about it and see maybe you can use it. Okay. All right. First thing I got to say is it's to a wide receiver, and it's important. It doesn't really matter the formation 2x2, 3x1, uh, but you've got to make sure that your relationships, your splits are right. You can't have too big of a split between the first blocker and the catcher, or else you won't get a mesh. All right, so let me. I used to draw a lot better pictures. This is the center. This is a 3x1 set with a sniffer. And that relationship, if the ball is on the left hash, this guy can't be wider than the hash mark. Okay. Here's your first blocker. Here's the mesh, and I'll just go through it as the way I teach it to people. I'm not going to give you a lot of science and things like that. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about is we're in the pistol, and we did it the last 2 years in the pistol, and I think it's pretty good stuff. We didn't do it this year for some reason. I don't know why, but we didn't. I missed it. Anyway, from the pistol, what the quarterback is going to do is catch the ball and throw it. Okay, he's going to throw it quickly. Now, let's talk about the tailback first. Okay, we basically swung the tailback, but if you don't have a swing route to the tailback in your offense, if you don't have something where that's what it looks like, I would just suggest that you slant him, just get him out of the quarterback's way. Okay, the catcher is going to attack the line of scrimmage. We always had the catcher off the ball so that he would never have a risk of being over the line of scrimmage. And the wording that we actually said to the catcher was this: take a big step, then a baby step, then another baby step, and retrace. Now, sometimes you get the kids retracing back to the quarterback. It's really what they're trying to do is find each other. They're trying to find an open window. You don't want the kid running at a dead run yet, okay? You want him to stay out there, okay? So the steps are big, baby, baby, okay? Okay, the outside receiver, you can do what you want with him. You can run him off. You can hitch him, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to run him off here. He'd like to hunt up the half player if the half player is available, and you know we kind of like him getting involved in it. But first things first, he wants to show pass. Okay, this is the important thing right here. The guy that's responsible for the slot defender in a 3x1 or the boundary defender in a 2x2, okay, he's got to run 3 steps flat. Okay, not Did everybody hear me? 3 steps flat, not any place else, but 3 steps flat at the receiver. If you do anything else, you're going to miss. Okay, 3 steps flat at the receiver where he's standing, not where he goes, not where he's going back, but where he's standing before the snap. Okay, this is critical. All right. After he takes 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, he can hunt the slot defender. Okay, the slot defender might be a roll corner. It might be a guy lined up on him. It might be an apex guy. It might be a safety coming down. It might be any variation of those. But if he doesn't go 3 steps flat, he will not get the proper mesh. Okay, the quarterback wants to catch the ball and throw it. I mean, he just wants to get it out of his hand to that receiver as quick as he can. If he does what he's supposed to do, and this guy does what he's supposed to do, it should come out pretty fast. Now, we've seen the quarterbacks hitch and, just find a window. And there's some stuff going on here that I'm going to talk about. But basically, he's got to get that ball to that receiver as quickly as possible. And if you do a good job with the big baby, that guy will be catching the ball either coming back or stationary, or I've seen them go back to the quarterback too. It all depends. You got to practice it. I'm not that good at ball handling because I don't know. I'm a line coach, but I just know that thing has got to come out fast. Okay. Once the receiver catches the ball, he wants to make a beeline for the blocker on the slot defender. He wants to mesh with him. He wants to make this guy right, and he wants to bring the slot defender to that, in this case, the tight end, the sniffer. Okay, he's going to make this guy right. This guy really can't see what's behind him or anything like that, but he can see what's going on in front of him. And what has to happen is if this guy drives on the screen, this 3 steps flat, he's got to stay flat. And the receiver's got to catch the ball and escape. If this guy drops out, he can go get him, but the receiver still wants to get an inside leverage and make this guy predictable. He wants to define this guy for this kick-out block. Okay? Now, let me talk to you about the blocker. If the defender can do a number of things, okay? Hang on. The slot defender can drive on the ball right straight ahead, and that's why it's so important to take the first 3 steps and get that mesh, catch the ball and run away from that guy, get him trapped. The defender can back up, and that's why we say go hunt. And what we want to do is get in front of the defender and give the receiver a chance now to make a move. The receiver doesn't want to make a move far away from the block. He wants to drive up the field and be very conscious of what's going on with the slot defender. And if the defender tries to fold on him, he wants to stick his foot in the ground and come outside. Okay, that's as simple as that. If it's anybody that's coming or running, a lot of times, they're going to slash somebody here, take the slot defender and drive them and bring somebody down. He's just got to stay on the mesh. If this defender disappears inside, this receiver doesn't want to touch him. Okay, let me just make sure that you understand that. Generally speaking, if the slot defender is going, he'll apex. But we've seen him, it depends on if you're thrown in the middle of the field, sometimes that he doesn't need the apex to go and affect the thing. And it all depends on what they're trying to do. But if this guy blitzes, we're going to bypass him and go to who becomes the slot defender. Usually it's a corner, safety over the top, or a safety inverting. Okay, that's the guy we want to get. Okay, and the receiver's got to find the window there, because we really can't do anything to affect this guy other than avoid him. Okay, the guy you really have to coach, besides the sniffer who I took out of there, is the place side tackle. Okay, he's in charge of the apex defender. And usually, if you have a slot defender, the next apex, the apex defender becomes the mic. Sometimes it's the slot defender's lined up in the apex. He usually will run out to the screen. Okay, so when we install, we say look for the mic. He becomes the apex defender. It could be a safety, could be anybody, could be the end. Okay, and this is what we say to the tackle. Number one, you've got to clean the window. Okay, and I'm going to go over the technique later on. I don't want to stop and do it now because I don't want to move this camera around. But you're going to clean the window using your inside hand and try and throw this guy up the field. And you're going to go flat 3 steps. Did I say flat 3 steps? I mean flat 3 steps. You're not going to gain ground. You're not going to give ground. You're going to go flat 3 steps. Did I say that enough? Flat 3 steps. Okay. After you go flat 3 steps, well, let me get this guy out of the way. Okay. After you go flat 3 steps, you're going to turn up and try to get your head on the outside of whoever becomes the apex defender. Okay, once again, if there's a blitz, let it go. Okay, don't worry about it because somebody's going to show up. If you grab right away, you're going to block somebody maybe, but you're not going to block the guy that we want you to block. If you go flat 3 steps, if this is the apex defender and he reads pass, he should flatten out. Okay, the quarterback's going to catch and throw, and I don't know if you know this or not. You probably do. They're not interested in what we do. They're really interested in who's got the ball. Okay, so he's going to run. He's going to run for that slot for the catcher. Okay, it's just the way it happens. It always happens. Whoever is that apex defender, usually the Mike. All right, after the catcher meshes with the kick out block on the slot defender, he's going to try and get outside of this apex defender, and if he can, of course, he'll go back in, but he really doesn't want to go back in. Remember, we have this tailback going this way. Hopefully, we're pulling the will backer out, okay? Sometimes we don't. You go way back in there, you're going to get blacked pretty good. Okay, you want to try and get on the outside of that tackle and on the inside of that slot defender. That's your mesh. Okay, and you want to take it north. You want to go straight up the field. Okay, any problem with that? And did I mention flat 3 steps? Okay, I just want to make sure I said flat 3 steps. Okay, we call the guard now. I've got the tackle and the tight end and the slot out of the way. We call the guard the sheriff, okay? And he's got to use the same technique and escape technique and club anybody that's in front of him in his way. And he's going to go flat 3 steps, okay, flat 3 steps, and then he is going to pivot or pirouette and become the sheriff. And what he wants to do is block any of the retraced defenders, okay? Anybody that's rushed the passer and realize that it's a screen, and believe me, when they get clubbed, they realize pretty quick that it's a screen. And you want to get him flat 3 steps and then pirouette, okay? Back in the backfield, check the retrace people, okay? And then he's just going to shuffle down the field facing this way, making sure that he can get at least somebody, get a hat on somebody. Okay, but he's got to go flat 3 steps. He cannot back up. He cannot back backwards. He cannot go down the field. He's got to go flat 3 steps. Okay, pretty easy, pretty simple stuff. Okay, the center, and this guy with the little dot is always the center, but I'll color him in a little bit. The center is got to go. He's got to step down the line, okay, towards the receiver. Everybody's going towards the receiver, the guard, the tackle, everybody. And flat 3 steps, okay? And his job is to gain ground, peek over his inside shoulder, see where the will is, see if there's anybody that dropped out and is trying to trace the play. And if nothing's there, he goes up on the hash defender, okay? He's got to go flat 3 steps. I've seen guys do this, and it's just you don't even see the will. He's behind you, and he presses right away, and it's a mess. Okay, the coaching point is flat 3 steps, flat 3 steps, flat 3 steps, and once he gets the 3 steps, he can go hunt. Okay, take a peek. Generally speaking, it's hilarious. These guys are not there yet. They read pass. Sometimes they'll drop. They'll run on the hash. They don't see the sprint out. They see the tailback going this way. The wheel backer will generally stay outside the hash mark to the field, and so he's outside the hash mark here, and then go. And a lot of times we'll get him up on the half defender. Okay, this is how you make a center, an all-conference center. You get him out there, 3 steps flat, and then turn up. Okay, take a peek. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, you got time, and go get that. Go get that dude. Okay. We've done the remaining 2 blockers a number of ways. You know, we tried to sell drop back pass, and the ball's out. Okay. The only thing it does maybe is it sells something to him. But I think with the tailback going this way, and of course if we're in gun, we want the tailback lined up here. We have done it this way, crossing the quarterback, but I don't like it. He's just another guy that the quarterback's got to avoid. So we like to line him up. If it's gun, we like to line him up away from the screen, and then we would swing him. From tailback, we've swung him, and I think you can get away with just slanting him, like I said already. But all these guys do is they want to protect gaps. I had a guy at Elon that always wanted to get into the screen, and I think, you know, that's all right. But what we really want to do is occupy some people here, okay? And of course, stay alive, but don't be in a hurry to get into the screen. All you're going to do is wad it up, okay? We like to club the nose this way, okay? But we can't let the nose go clean to the quarterback, okay? And if it's no nose, we like to get inside this guy and make him go. If it's a 2 technique, make him go towards the tackle. It's pretty good stuff. This guy can. What I like to do with this guy is hitch him. Okay, you know, you can run him off, but I like to hitch him. Okay, and what that does, of course, is it occupies that guy right there, the weak safety. Okay, he'll see that hitch, he'll see the tailback, and he'll be like, okay, I better just sit here for a second. Okay, if we do a good job on the front side, it's generally a pursuit thing. Now, in the high red, 20-yard line and in, we've done it on the goal line. Okay, we've done it into the boundary on the goal line, and I'll show you that in a second. But it's a very, very clean play to the field. At Penn State, we had these big tight ends that would go out there, and we had one guy. I think he's with the Lions right now, Jesse James, and he'd go out there and mash that slot defender or get in his way, and it was pretty easy. We had a guy at Lewisburg for 2 years who was, he was incredible. You couldn't tackle him in a phone booth, and when we got bored punting and stuff, we'd throw him one of these things, okay, and he'd make everybody miss. Be 3rd and 20, we'd throw one of these things, okay. It's a really good play. What I like about it is it takes advantage of athletic ability of the lineman, and it's really a run play. Okay, it's not a foo-foo screen. It's a go get 'em play, and it's a killer. All right, I want to show you one thing off of it. Okay, this was not as good to the field as it would be to the boundary, but what you want to do is sucker, have this guy run flat 3 steps, and then run a wheel route. You can work combinations here, or whatever. But if you could imagine this into the boundary, just like that. That wheel route will generally go up the field. You want to hit him somewhere before 10 yards. Usually a corner will slash, a slot defender will slash, and the thing is, to the field, it's a little hairy with the half player. And if you run this dude off, maybe you'll pull him out. You want to catch the ball right in there. It was better at a 2x2. Okay, best 6-man protection, again, with the tailback going away. All right, however your 6-man is, and don't get fancy. Pump fake and throw it. It's called sucker. It's off of the screen. Pretty good play. Okay, you don't want to get too wide here. You want to get them just outside the hash mark. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about the technique just a little bit, but I got to rearrange my studio here. Okay, I'm back. I want to talk to you about the center guard and tackle technique. Okay, we were talking about a right tackle, so I'm going to line up as a right tackle. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm going to have the right tackle go flat down the line 3 steps. Flat down the line 3 steps before he goes and hunts. It's the most important part of the play. The second most important part of play, what we've found over the years, is that we want to take not really an angle kick. Okay, most of the times our tackles will set deeper. Okay, and we don't really kick slide anyway. We kind of stomp. Okay, we do this. We call it a T-step. Okay, but he wants to take a T-step straight down the line, and he wants to put his hand up. Okay, he doesn't want anybody touching his chest. That's going to wad him up. Of course, he wants to be condensed because that's a fundamental for us. And he wants to make sure that he can't, if anybody mesh or joints him, that they can't get a clean shot at his chest. So the more condensed he is, the better he is. And he wants to go flat down the line. Now, he doesn't count these steps. Once he releases, it's 3 steps. He doesn't count whatever it is, whatever it takes for him. He can't back up at all because he'll wad the guard up. Guard will never get out, center won't get out, and the receiver will be by himself. He wants to go flat, okay, in a condensed position, protecting himself with the long arm, and he wants to take the strong arm and go across and step into it and club the man below the shoulder blades. Not up higher on the back of the head, not on the shoulder pads, but below the shoulder blades. And if this is of course rotational force, okay? If he does a good job, boom, he will knock this guy into the backfield. I've seen him knock him flat on the ground. Just flat down, knock him ground. But what he's doing is he's cleaning the window for the quarterback. Okay? The quarterback's got to see that receiver and catch the ball and get rid of it. And the quarterback can pump it once or something, you know. We've tried to pump fake and throw it back. I think it's enough of a job to catch the ball and get it and throw it. Okay, but he might have to hitch and then sidearm it or something like that. But you have got to get this guy's hands down. Okay, so you're T-stepping, you got your hand out, and you club. Okay? Now, if the man goes down the line in front of you, he sticks, let him go. Go. If the man comes with you, he must be a slot defender. Block him. Okay, in other words, you're trying to club and he's backing up, he's going to the receiver, he sees it as a screen, block him. He's a slot defender. Don't run by a good block for a bad block. Okay? But it's the critical thing. Do not back up. Do not stand up. Do not expose your chest. Stay condensed and club. Okay? Club. All right? Then escape. 1, 2, 3, and hunt. Okay? That's what we do. Now the guard does the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Okay, I'll get him a little further away. He does the exact same thing. T-step, he puts his hands up. He doesn't care who's in front of him. He doesn't want to get shut off from his front, his face. Okay? You know, we talked about rolling the shoulder to keep from getting hit if you got a 2 technique in front of you, and I think that's fine. But what you want to do, I like it. It's much better than this. Okay? What you want to do is make sure that you can club if the end sticks. Okay? Now, if he long sticks, you let him go. Okay? Don't worry about it. Oh, and here's another thing. If there's an overhang player, okay, a pressed overhang on the line of scrimmage, and I'm the tackle, I'm probably going to get past the end to the pressed overhang. If he blitzes, let him go. Clean the window if he doesn't blitz, and if he drops, he must be yours. Okay? But don't pick up a blitzer. If you have a slot defender coming at you from the apex, let him go. Let him go. Okay? If he impedes you, club him. Otherwise, let him go. And you have to get a feel for the timing because your steps are now all screwed up. Do not avoid him by getting depth. Do not avoid him by getting depth. And if you would go attack right now up the field, if that slot defender drives on you, you'll never block him. You'll never block them. You have to go, I don't know if I mentioned this, but you have to go flat for 3 steps, then hunt. Okay? All right, and the other thing is go flat for 3 steps. Okay, so you're going to get out you're going to get out 1, 2, 3, and you're going to pivot, and you're going to be the sheriff. You're going to get away from the line of scrimmage, deeper than the line of scrimmage, okay, at least a yard, and get out of the center's way. And you are going to look for anybody on the retrace. You're the guard. Once you've checked the retrace, you can shuffle down and look for nose, look for the wolf, look for whoever. But you're not to turn around and give up the retrace, okay? You must be the sheriff, okay? If you go out there and you see somebody standing on the read spot, we talk about read spots. We talk about where the receiver's got to go. And the read spot's going to be about 2 yards inside the hash if he lines up on the hash, okay? It's about 2 yards inside of where he is. Okay, if you see anybody on the read spot, go get him. Go get him. He's yours. You're the sheriff. If nobody's on the read spot and all is well, pivot, get out of the center's way, make sure you're out of the center's way, and be the sheriff. Okay, the center is going to do the exact same thing. Okay, he is not touching the nose. He's not going in. He's not pass setting. He's T-stepping. He's doing exactly what the tackle does. If the nose rides his shoulder, the backside guard's got to pry him off. And of course, if I got a nice low shoulder, I can set him up. But he's going to try and escape, and he is going to go three steps. 1, 2, 3, and he is going to look for the apex defender. Now, that's usually the tackle is going to look for the apex defender. You're going to look for the trace defender, okay? And you are going to see over your shoulder and then go up to the half, okay? The tackle's got the apex defender, okay? I screwed that up. That's all right. I'm not going to do this thing over with. Okay, it's pretty simple stuff. Backside guard and tackle. Okay, try and get in front of the nose. You can club the nose, backside guard. You can club the 3 backside tackle. All right, but don't try to get into the screen. Try to protect the quarterback. Okay, you don't want this guy releasing to the quarterback on a dead run. Nobody wants to stand up and let anybody release to the quarterback in a dead run without clubbing. Okay, the center doesn't, the guard doesn't, the tackle doesn't. If he's there to be clubbed, club him. Get him out of your way. Don't avoid him. Get him out of your way. And then go, I don't know if I mentioned this, 1, 2, 3 steps, and then hunt. Good play. Okay, I got my Lewisburg stuff on. Maybe I look like a coach. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for today. Happy New Year to everybody. Merry Christmas, and talk to you soon.